Welcome everyone to this deep dive into the life of Jomo Kenyatta, the man who became the founding father of modern Kenya. He rose from a simple village boy in the African highlands to lead his nation out of colonial chains and into independence. His story is one of resilience, clever politics, and a burning passion for freedom that changed the course of history. Born in the late 1890s, Kenyatta navigated a world torn between ancient traditions and harsh British rule, eventually becoming Kenya's first prime minister and president. Today, we'll trace his incredible journey from his humble beginnings to his lasting legacy. The story is packed with fascinating details that will leave you amazed at how one man's determination shaped a country. Jomo Kenyatta entered the world around 1897 in a small village called Ngeda, nestled in the lush highlands of what was then the British East Africa, now Kenya. His parents, Muigai and Wabui, were ordinary Kikuyu farmers who tilled the soil, raised goats, and grew crops like yams and bananas along the banks of the Thiririka River. Life in Ngeda was simple and tied to the land. Families lived in thatched huts, shared stories around evening fires, and followed age-old Kikuyu customs. Kenyatta, originally named Kamau Muigai, had an older brother named Kongo who sadly died young, and later a younger half-brother, also named Muigai, after his mother remarried. Tragedy struck early when his father died while Kenyatta was still a toddler, leaving his mother to remarry his uncle Gegi. Gegi was a stern man who took over as family head. Kenyatta's mother passed away soon after giving birth to his half-brother, and the young boy moved in with his grandfather, Kongoa Magana. Kongoa Magana was a respected medicine man known for healing with herbs and rituals. Imagine a curious child like Kenyatta, herding goats through misty hills and learning tradition from elders and piercing his ears at the age of 10 as part of Kikuyu rites. It was a childhood steeped in tradition, but one that would soon collide with the outside world. As a boy, Kenyatta faced a severe leg infection around age 10, which led him to a life-changing encounter with European missionaries. He walked miles to the Church of Scotland mission in Thogoto for surgery, and the experience sparked his fascination with the white man's ways. He ran away from home to enroll as a pupil there in 1909, trading farm chores for lessons in English, math, carpentry, and Bible stories. He worked as a houseboy to pay his way, cooking and cleaning for settlers, which gave him a first-hand taste of colonial inequality. In 1914, at about 17, he underwent circumcision, a key Kikuyu initiation into manhood, and was baptized as Johstone Kamau, blending his African roots with Christian influences. But mission life wasn't all smooth. There were accusations of petty theft that ended his apprenticeship, and he left to seek his fortune in the growing city of Nairobi. There, he dodged forced labor during the World War I by disguising himself as a Maasai herder and working odd jobs like clerking for an Asian contractor. It was in Nairobi that he adopted the name Kenyatta, inspired by a beaded belt he wore. This name would one day shine across the continent. Kenyatta's family life began to take shape in his early 20s, reflecting both Kikuyu polygamous traditions and his evolving world. In 1919, he married Grace Wahu in a traditional ceremony, and they welcomed their first son, Peter Muigai, in November 1920. Church elders frowned on their premarital relationship, insisting on a Christian wedding, which happened in 1922. Their daughter, Margaret Wabui, arrived in 1928, and she would later become a close confidant, serving as Nairobi's mayor and Kenya's UN ambassador. Kenyatta worked as a meter reader for the Nairobi Municipal Council, earning a solid wage that led him to afford a bicycle and stylish clothes, standing out in the city's bustling streets. But beneath this domestic stability brewed a fire for change. The British had seized vast Kikuyu lands for white settlers after declaring Kenya a crown colony in 1920, fueling resentment that Kenyatta felt deeply. He joined the East African Association in 1922, led by Harry Thuku, to protest land grabs and unfair taxes. When the group disbanded under pressure, Kenyatta rose in its successor, the Kikuyu Central Association (KCA), becoming its secretary in 1928. He edited the newspaper Mwiguithania, meaning the reconciler, using simple Kikuyu language to rally people for land rights and education without openly defying the British yet. What truly propelled Kenyatta towards leadership was his unyielding belief that Africans deserved self-rule after witnessing years of colonial exploitation. In 1929, the KCA sent him to London to lobby the British government, marking the start of a 17-year exile that transformed him into a global thinker. He arrived in England with little money, staying with West African students and meeting radicals like Ladipo Solanke. Frustrated by ignored petitions, he traveled to Moscow in 1929. He studied at the Communist University of the Toilers of the East, where Marxist ideas of equality stirred in him, though he never fully embraced communism. Back in London, he wrote fiery articles for leftist papers, criticizing imperialism, and even met Mahatma Gandhi, absorbing nonviolent resistance tactics. In 1931, he returned briefly to Kenya, but soon headed back to Europe, enrolling at Woodbrook Quaker College and later the London School of Economics. Under anthropologist Bronislaw Malinowski, he studied linguistics and wrote his groundbreaking book, Facing Mount Kenya, which was published in 1938. This wasn't just an academic work, it was a passionate defense of Kikuyu culture, debunking colonial myths of African inferiority and calling for land reform. He adopted the name Jomo, meaning burning spear, symbolizing his sharp fight against oppression. During this time, his personal life shifted too. He married English woman Edna Grace Clark in 1942, and they had a son, Peter Magana, in 1943. Living in Sussex during World War II, Kenyatta worked as a farm laborer, lectured on African issues, and co-organized the 1945 Pan-African Congress in Manchester with figures like Kwame Nkrumah, W.E.B. Du Bois demanding an end to colonialism. After years abroad, Kenyatta sailed back to Kenya in September 1946, greeted by crowds and his family, including Grace Wahu and their children. He settled in Gatodo, building a home and farming while diving deeper into politics. He became principal of the Kenya Teachers College. He promoted independent African education and in 1947 was elected president of the Kenya African Union, KAU, a multi-ethnic group pushing for independence. His charisma drew supporters from various tribes, but white settlers feared him as a radical. Kenyatta married again, first to Grace Wanjiku in 1947, who died in childbirth in 1950, and then to Gina Mohoho in 1951, with whom he had 4 children, Uhuru, who later became president, Christine, Anna, and Mohoho. Family was his anchor, but politics consumed him. He toured Kenya, denouncing land theft and urging unity under the slogan Harambe, which means all pull together. The Mau Mau rebellion erupted in 1952, an uprising by landless Kikuyus against settlers. Though Kenyatta publicly condemned violence and wasn't directly involved, the British blamed him, arresting him in October 1952 during a state of emergency. Charged with managing Mau Mau, he endured a rigged trial in Kapenguria, defended himself eloquently, but was sentenced to 7 years hard labor in 1953. Imprisonment tested Kenyatta like never before, but it also made him a martyr. He served time in remote Lokitown, facing isolation, harsh labor, and restricted visits. He read voraciously books on religion, history, and philosophy, from Islam to Confucianism, sharpening his mind. Released to house arrest in Maralal in 1959, he negotiated with colonial officials, his legend growing as Kenyans chanted for freedom. International pressure and the winds of decolonization forced his full release in August 1961. Kenyatta rejoined politics, leading the Kenya African National Union, KANU, to victory in the 1963 elections. On June 1, 1963, he became Prime Minister of self-governing Kenya, and when full independence came on December 12, 1963, he stood tall as the nation's leader. What propelled him here? A mix of his intellectual prowess, forged in Europe, his unshakable nationalism, rooted in Kikuyu grievances, and his ability to unite diverse groups amid chaos. He navigated alliances, outmaneuvered rivals like Oginga Odinga, and convinced the British that Kenya could thrive without them. As president from 1964 onward, after Kenya became a republic, Kenyatta steered the young nation with a firm hand. He promoted capitalism with African socialism, encouraging foreign investment while nationalizing key industries. The economy boomed. Tea and coffee exports soared, GDP grew at 6% annually, and infrastructure like roads and schools expanded. But challenges loomed. He banned opposition parties by 1969, creating a one-party state, and faced criticism for favoritism towards Kikuyu elites, including his family, who amassed vast lands. Corruption scandals tainted his rule, and ethnic tensions simmered, exploding in events like the 1969 assassination of the rival Tom Mboya. Health issues hit him hard. He suffered strokes in 1966 and 1968 that left him weakened, and by the 1970s, an inner circle handled much governance. Yet, Kenyatta's personal life remained vibrant. Gina, known as Mama Gina, supported him and his children pursued education abroad. He loved farming at his Gatodo estate, hosting barbecues and dancing to traditional tunes. A grandfatherly figure to the nation called Mzee, or respected leader. Kenyatta's later years saw him increasingly frail, relying on aids amid plots and power struggles. He died of a heart attack on August 22, 1978, while resting in Mombasa at the age of about 81 years. His state funeral drew world leaders, and he was buried in a great mausoleum in Nairobi. His legacy is monumental. He united a fractured colony into a stable republic, inspired Pan-Africanism, and and symbolized Black empowerment. We cannot forget to point out his authoritarian rule and inequality. Probably without him, Kenya's path might have been bloodier, but we'll never know. From a goat-herding boy to the father of a nation, Jomo Kenyatta's life proves that one determined soul can ignite a revolution. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, keep exploring history's hidden gems.